Have you ever wondered what exactly you should be doing to get the best health, be happy, feel good in your body? Well, today we're going to talk about the 10 science-backed habits that can absolutely transform your life. Now, maybe you've done some of them for a short period of time, or maybe you're doing many of them. And maybe you're like, maybe that's the one thing to help me even feel even better. Well, we're going to talk about what those are today, so stay tuned. But before that, if you're new to the channel, my name is Dr. Laurie Marbas. I'm a board-certified family and lifestyle medicine physician who specializes in helping people feel better by doing better habits and all the things we know we should be doing, and maybe some that are surprise, and really struggle to do. And I help people understand how to do that better. I am licensed in all 50 states and also plus DC. So again, I see patients from across the country. If you'd like to learn more, join my weekly newsletter. We get more information like this in written form, plus a delicious recipe right to your inbox. Check the link below and you can join the Dr. Marbas newsletter. In addition, please subscribe, hit the alert button so you know when all the videos are coming up. So let's dive in to the 10 science-backed habits that are absolutely going to change your life. And I'll share a few stories along the way of patients or myself that you might find entertaining. Number one is regular physical activity. I cannot tell you how much this can impact so many parts of your life. It's the most effective way to not only improve your physical health, but also your mental health. It reduces the risk of chronic diseases, it boosts your mood, and enhances cognitive function. And several things are going on here. One, it promotes your sleep drive, right? It's going to allow you to sleep better at night when you exercise regularly. In addition to that, you'll have better blood sugar management. You can have less highs and lows. You'll see amazing things happen when people just move their body with their insulin sensitivity, which I've talked about a lot on this channel. And in addition to that, again, your heart health, so important. Number one killer of men and women in the United States is chronic diseases like cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, strokes, things like that. So definitely want to be aiming for around 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise per week. But instead, I would also include definitely do that resistance training 3 to 4 times per week because your muscle is so important, especially as we get older. I'll be 54 in a few months. Nothing's more important to me now is maintaining and even improving upon my current health, keeping that muscle mass. It's your metabolic furnace and it decreases risk of falls and all the other things that come with that loss of muscle mass as we age. Number 2, which I bet a lot of you are going to tell, or you already know what I'm going to tell you, is a whole food plant-based diet, right? Diet shows is such an important piece. It shows that you decrease your risk of chronic diseases like diabetes, high cholesterol, weight gain, cancers, high blood pressure, helps with mood. Some very fascinating stories that I have around patients who decrease their anxiety medications. I have had patients who had schizophrenia actually go from having hallucinations on medications to no hallucinations, same medications, just switching the diet. The brain inflammation improves. So the reason I went on a plant-based diet almost 13 years ago is because I had a patient who accidentally discovered that she got better on a plant-based diet. Her ADD disappeared. This was a 16-year-old girl, literally in 30 days by changing her diet to a plant-based diet. So incredible things happen in the brain. But in addition to that, you're boosting your immunity. You're going to have less likely to get sick from these things. Now, it's not a panacea by any means, but it's honestly the most powerful tool I have in my toolbox when I work to help people get well, and that's a whole food plant-based diet. Next is quality sleep. What does that mean? Well, that means that when you wake up, you feel refreshed and ready to get busy and onwards with your day. If you're really struggling, especially for women, if you're entering into this perimenopause, menopausal time frame, like myself, was really fascinating. About 10 months ago, I ran a half marathon with my daughter in Boston, had a PR, was in great shape. I practiced everything that I preach to the best of my abilities. And I understood menopause was coming, periods were being irregular. I understood I was in that perimenopausal phase, but I hadn't really suffered too much from it. But wow, right after that race, I had joint pain, stiffness, hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings. much more difficulty sleeping because the hot flash would come one at night at 3:30 in the morning, every single night. And I was like, what on earth? So I did blood work. My numbers were all out of whack. My cholesterol, my LDL was elevated for the first time in my life. It was above 100. My thyroid was out of whack. I've been on hot thyroid medications for 28 years. It had been doing really well. It actually improved a little with a plant-based diet, but now it was even more out of whack. I was a mess. So I chose to embrace HRT. And what's really fascinating was how much better I'm sleeping. Even years before, I thought, I just was this light sleeper. But honestly, I think what was happening was perimenopause, because now I sleep like a baby. Like, it is beautiful. Like, I mean, I felt pretty good before, but now I feel my brain is rested. Like, it's amazing. So anyway, sleep is so important. So, adequate sleep, again, is important for your mental health. It's important for your physical health. You're more likely to have, things like diabetes and things like that, heart disease, mental health disorders, when you're not getting adequate sleep. And you can work on a few different things. You want to have a good sleep routine. Stay away from caffeine for at least 8 hours prior to bed. Not drinking alcohol before bed, or stopping drinking alcohol altogether. That's even better. Things like making sure you get good morning daylight, right? That sets the sequence of events that set you up for better sleep in about 16 hours. So that morning daylight is so, so very important. Again, exercise, which will also help. Most people are going to need between 7 and 9 hours of sleep. Again, depending on the stage of life, that will vary, but for the majority, that's the average that we should be looking for. Next is stress management. I can't begin to tell you how important this stress management piece is. I'm going to share a little story. So let's see here. I think it was about 6-7 months ago, I work with patients with CGMs. These are continuous glucose monitors, and it tells you your blood sugars, what you're doing. And I wear them on occasion just because I like the data. I like to see what's going on. I learn from them. I can then share this with patients and people like you on YouTube. And what was interesting, I love to watch like history shows, especially like World War II, right? So I watched this one movie. It was very intense, and I really enjoyed it just because the drama, and honestly, I get pulled in very easily. Like, I get sucked in. And I went to bed, and I hadn't eaten in like 3 hours prior to even watching the TV show. But I went to bed after that. So it was like 10 o'clock. I woke up at midnight with a very vivid dream about this movie. And I happened to look at my CGM that I was wearing. My blood sugar traveled to 120. Most of the time, my blood sugars when I'm sleeping is 75 and below. And the moment I woke up, you could see it start declining. But that blood sugar was increasing just because of the mental stress of my dreams. So it was really, really fascinating to me to be thinking about what sleep is doing. So if you struggle to sleep, or if you have sleep apnea, right, your blood sugar is going to be higher, your cortisol levels are going to be higher, you're not going to feel rested. So that's one piece. But then the stress management piece is just so important. I had another friend of mine who's an endocrinologist, and he had a patient who wore a CGM, diabetic. She goes, my blood sugar always goes up when I talk about this particular family member. And he remembered that. And so he checked her blood sugar prior, when she first walked in. It was like 120. And he asked her about this family member. Within minutes, her blood sugar was over 300. So stress is a huge impact, not only on blood sugar, but many other things. Your blood pressure, your heart rate. Again, so many things that are occurring due to stress management. So what do you do about this? I will tell you, there's nothing more stressful than going through medical school with 3 little kids, being a physician, a mom, and working. I will tell you, the one thing that's literally changed my life, because I always thought I had to be a control freak. The more in control I was, the less stress I would have because I was in control. How many of you can respond to that? Like, I know I'm not the only one who speaks that. And if I am, well, I don't know what's wrong with me. But anyway, so I'm pretty sure many of you are going to go, yeah, if I can control it, I feel less stress. When I don't have control of it or the people in my life, that's when we start getting stressed and I get anxious or depressed or whatever, right? Because we have these expectations and different things. I will tell you, the one thing that has literally transformed my life more than anything, well, plant-based diet and exercise, but honestly, I think mindfulness is even more important because I make better decisions when I'm being mindful, is that mindfulness piece. And what does that mean exactly? That means understanding that the future will take care of itself and the past is done. Even the moment, just when I started this video, all I have is right now. And being present and mindful of what's going on in my life right now and being accepting of what it is, and then making that decision on what to do or not to do in the moment of presence, I make wiser choices. And things just roll off my back now. We've literally given up our home. We sold it. And now we're living in an RV full time and having a blast. We're downsizing, get rid of as much as possible. And the simple life is really appealing to me. And there are moments in my day that honestly, if I could just go live as a hermit somewhere, I'm starting to be pulled into just this calm, joyful serenity that is, I really started embracing this about 2 years ago, and it's just building and building, and life just becomes more joyful. I can reflect upon my own misguidings and things, the defects that I need to continue to work on with less fear and anxiety and judgment. And I think I'm loving people better and more. So it's fascinating. So you guys think about it. Work on this mindfulness piece. I know it sounds crazy, but it works great. You can start with just being mindful with regular activities. Let's say you're chopping vegetables or fruit, and you just take some breath, notice your breath. You can't be somewhere else if you're noticing something that your body's doing, like, right now you're present. And now you're just paying attention without thoughts, letting the thoughts come, just let them go. They come, let them go. You're just watching, enjoying the moment, right? Folding laundry, same thing. When you can do these kind of mundane activities with mindfulness, life changes when life gets stressful, or things that come into your life that are maybe less appealing. You handle them differently. The chatter in your head, the volume decreases and the words change. And that's so powerful. Anyway, just sharing that with you. I don't know, maybe I'll end up being a little hermit. I don't know if my husband would go for that, in the cave somewhere, or maybe just in a backpack. If you see me just a backpack walking down the road, wave at me, maybe throw me a vegetable or some blueberries or something. Anyway, might want to check into the mindfulness for stress management. Next is social connections. So very important. Honestly, I love connecting with people, especially in real life. Family and everything. Those are the people who are going to support you. But when you're working on your mindfulness piece, you find that you're okay to being alone too, right? The loneliness is not dreaded. The loneliness is a reprieve sometimes. And usually I'm a social butterfly. I love talking to people and hugging people and being around people. But more and more, I'm finding I enjoy the alone quiet time, right? I used to think I had to fill it with something, like I had to scroll on Instagram or watch a movie or be reading or doing something. I don't. I'm okay. I'm okay with just being here, present, because it's such a gift in and of itself. So, but the social connection is so important. You'll find that, for example, people who are married live longer. Men live longer if they're married. I think there's several reasons for that. I use that as a joke with patients many times. The wives drag their husbands into the appointment, and I was like, you're going to live longer because your wife cares about you. Of course, not all marriages are healthy, but for those that are, for the most part, you're going to benefit from it in your health. But yeah, really cultivating those relationships and putting energy into them, and not expecting that people should, one thing I always remind myself is that I shouldn't expect anyone to do anything for me just because who I am. I'm grateful when someone does something for me or calls me or connects with me. But at the end of the day, no one's coming to rescue you. You have to take care of your inner self. That energy will go out into the world and people will connect with you when they want and stuff. And I'm just so grateful. And then I take the initiative to call people, to talk to people, to write people, and engage with folks, even strangers. It's so important. But anyway, social connections, you will see science, loneliness is linked to higher mortality rates, But there's a difference between feeling lonely and being alone and okay with it. So there's that. Next is continuous learning. And, engaging in lifetime learning and can provide mental stimulation, can improve your cognitive function, delay any decline, and really enhance your life satisfaction. It could be a new language, it could be gardening, it could be a new sport, it could be crocheting, drawing, it doesn't matter. If you're engaging in continuously learning, that's so very important. But one thing I will tell you, being a doctor, especially the doctors and the patients that I engage with, they keep me on my toes. So I am constantly learning something so I can share, and trying to come up with more stuff that you guys might find interesting has been a challenge as well. So I'm diving into research and learning more. Next is positive thinking and gratitude. And I really think this kind of ties back to the mindfulness piece and understanding how important that is. I start every morning with a mindful walk, and I start it with gratitude. I'm grateful for the moment, and I'm grateful for the opportunity for whatever comes my way. A positive outlook in practicing gratitude absolutely can show improved mental health, lower your stress levels, improved relationships, and better physical health outcomes. You could do it through things like keeping a gratitude journal, practice daily affirmations, or reflect upon positive experiences like regularly. But I wouldn't almost, not to the point that you start missing those activities, but I always start my day with gratitude. I'm thankful for what I have. And if there's something that I'm desiring, I'm thankful that I know it'll come in the form that it comes and when it comes. And so lots of things you can do. Just being grateful. I end every live here with gratitude for you spending time with me. And that's where I want to pour my energy. I want to pour my energy into gratitude and positivity versus negative, complaining, gossiping, things like that. That just breeds more negativity in yourself and makes your life more negative. So what you cultivate here will go out, and that will come back to you tenfold. I promise. It's a rule of the universe, and it works. Life gets better. You see life better, and even when it's challenging, it's not so bad. Next is mindful eating. What that allows you to do is, when you're mindfully eating, it means that you're aware of the food that's coming into your body. You're more in tune with the body in the sense of being full or having your satiety noted. Maybe you won't overeat. If you're eating mindlessly, like scrolling through Instagram or watching TV, people overeat, right? So many of us, I know I've been guilty. You'll get a thing of popcorn at the movies, and it's gone before the credits are even, like, whatever it is, that thing in the beginning. I think it's, before the film starts, they're like 30 minutes long themselves, gone. You're like, well, who ate all those big thing of popcorn? You look it around. Yeah, right here. That was me. Don't recall, but that was my mindless eating. Same thing, watching television, people eating quickly, or trying to drive and eat. If you can, sitting still and eating and being mindful. Eat slowly, maybe eat with the other hand, savor each bite. Think about the food as it traveled to your plate, all the many hands that had to touch it. Someone had to start a farm, plant the seeds, harvest the food, get it to the market, the transport, the people who drove the truck that got it there, the people who were cleaning it, putting it on the shelves, right? The cashier, all those things had to come to be for you to get some food on plate. Or maybe you grew your own food, thinking about the journey of that, all the work that you put into it, and the nature that had to provide the ingredients for the food to grow, right? The pollinators and the worms and all the things that go on, way more than my brain can comprehend. But anyway, think about it. And this one, I think, is also improving. Even if you're in what you consider excellent health, it's just getting your regular checkups, right? Just, touching base with a physician who you trust and can confide in, and just, even if it's just, checking some general labs, making sure everything's okay. And yeah, just checking in with someone that you can trust, right? Some people, they go to the doctor, they get 5 minutes of FaceTime, if they consider it FaceTime. But again, it's not a bad idea. Sometimes screening can find some things that are easy to fix, and sometimes they can find some stuff that you can jump on earlier. So again, I will leave that to you and what that looks like for you, but there is some benefit to it for sure. I have people who have been eating a whole food plant-based diet for decades. They still come to see me. I still run blood work, and on occasion, I'm still tweaking things. So there's that. Next is really, really crazy. Honestly, I think you get more out of it than others, but is giving and helping others. When you look at research, acts of kindness and volunteering are associated with improved mental health, reduced stress, and a greater sense of purpose. Really helping others helps foster those social connections. So how can you do this? Just honestly, just regular acts of kindness, right? And sometimes kindness is keeping your mouth shut, right? So if you feel prompted to say something that's not kind or unnecessary, being kind means being quiet. And I know that can be hard. But at my other life this morning when I was walking, I do these mindful morning walks. I was just reflecting on emails and some comments that I sometimes will get that are interesting. For example, recently I had a YouTube commenter that said, by the way, you said you're licensed in all 50 states plus DC. Well, DC isn't a state. It would have been better for you if you would have said and DC or plus DC or whatever. She was correcting my grammar, and she was honestly correct. And then she wrote the questions like, why do you sound like a 5-year-old? And I was like, I found it interesting, but what was even more interesting to me was why was I stuck thinking about this person? Like, it doesn't matter, right? It really doesn't matter their opinion or what they say. But what I was curious about was reflecting on why it was in my head. And then it really dawned on me. I was like, Laurie, you always hear that saying, when people say unkind things or they do things, that it's usually a reflection of themselves and not you, which is absolutely true. But in my head, I was like, man, maybe it's bothering me so much because I do this to others, and judging others and not being kind and thinking things or, judging others. Yeah, I need to think about that and really sit down and go, in this moment, the message is, Laurie, you need to reflect on yourself. So I end up saying thank you to this person because it really brings home what I need to be doing more and continue to work on what's going on in my heart. So anyway, I hope you found that all helpful. I'm going to go over them again real quickly. Someone mentioned earlier they like that. I know I like repetition. Is 1, regular physical activity, a healthy whole food plant-based diet, quality sleep, stress management, social connections, continuous learning, positive thinking and gratitude, mindful eating, regular checkup with a trusted professional, giving and helping others. So I hope you found this beneficial today. Thank you so much for being here. As always, I'm sending you gratitude, joy, love, and peace in your life, and above all, healing, because we all need more of that in our lives. So blessings to you all. Safe travels. If you're traveling, I'm traveling from Colorado back to California over the next few days. And so I'll be coming live in different places. So I'm excited to share that with you guys. So thanks again, and blessings to all.